think it's interesting with what's going on in our world right now. A lot of people are like distracted with what's his name, but it's all part of the plan that this was supposed to come out when it was supposed to come out at a certain time. Like, there's a reason why everything happens the way it does. Sometimes you just got to trust the process, even if you don't agree with it or you don't like what's going on. Sometimes the part of the process of this human experience is allowing things that you don't like. Because if you didn't like growing, then you would just stay the same. But the universe makes you grow sometimes, even if it's painful, because you can't be the same all the time. You have to evolve into where you need to be. So sometimes it's very painful because of what you went through. And you should never like dumb down your experiences, even if you don't like them. Like, if you don't like your parents, that's okay because they served a purpose for a short amount of time or a long amount of time, whatever you want to call it. And when you figure that out, then you're not really worried about what comes next. Because your parents are your parents. They taught you to a point, and then now you're on your own to figure it out yourself. And sometimes that's very difficult because you don't know where to go. But if you look back at your whole life, where you came from, where you are now, you manifested every point of that life. You put one foot in front of the other and it got you where you were. So if that's living in a fancy city or working in the city, working at the airport, enjoying working at the airport, and then you manifest them firing you because you have a higher purpose. And now you're trying to align with the higher purpose. And we're in a new year, a new time, a new phenomenon. 2026 is different than every other year because we've broken cycles. We've changed things as a collective. So if you're supposed to get to the plateau of where you're supposed to be, you have to shed old timelines. You have to shed old beliefs. You have to shed old ideas. And sometimes it's really painful because you're like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. But when you were a little kid, you felt the same way. I don't know what to do and I don't know where to go. But you've gotten this far. So you can do another 30 years or another 40 years because you'll figure it out and you'll acclimate to where you need to acclimate to, and you'll get where you want to go. And it might seem really difficult and challenging at times because you're like, everybody's telling me this, and I disagree with that. Um, so it's kind of confusing, but that's the process of shedding old timelines. Is things are going to be confusing till you lock it in what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to get there and how it all lines up to what you want to do. Like, a lot of people want to be famous, but who cares if you're famous or who cares if you're not famous? Just be who you are, and the right people will want to be attracted to where you're going or who you are, or they'll just want to connect to you the way they want to connect to you. Like, people will just be drawn to who you are and what you're doing and where you're going. And sometimes you're behind the scenes and people don't see what you're doing behind the scenes because they only see what you show them. And that's part of the process of calibrating or getting aligned to what you want to do. And sometimes people want to help you, but you don't really know how to feel about that because you don't know if you trust people anymore because of experiences. But like they say, energy can never be destroyed. So whatever you're supposed to align with will happen in the timely manner that it's supposed to happen in. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is realizing things. Like how when you're unsure of what's going on, that's the best place to be because you're in a new territory and you're like, okay, I don't really know what to do. But if I keep having faith and I keep trusting that the universe will take care of me, then it's all going to fall into place that it needs to fall into place. And you'll realize that I'm getting where I need to be, even though there's so much unknown around me. Because when you know that you're doing the right thing, you're not really worried about what other people are saying or doing or talking about, or saying like, oh, you're not doing this right, or why don't you have this high paying job, or why don't you have a Ferrari by now? Like, all that garbage doesn't really matter when you get to your goal, whatever that is. Like, if you're trying to build a legacy, and some people don't understand what your legacy is because they're only seeing what's in front of them. They're not seeing all the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. They're not seeing all the hard work of you doing what you've done over your whole lifetime. They're only seeing this little bit of it. They're not seeing everything else around you. And that's what you got to keep. That's what you got to use for motivation, is when you are tired and you want to give up because somebody's telling something that you don't want to hear. But you got to look at it as, sometimes people tell you stuff that you don't want to hear because what it's a projection of what they say about themselves. So they don't think they're confident enough to become a millionaire, or they don't think they're confident enough to start their own business. And they're going to keep doing the same thing over and over. But you want to break the cycle because you want to be different. And sometimes breaking the cycle is something very odd. It's not normal because you're going opposite of the hamster wheel of the world or who's around you. And people are going to say things like you're stupid and you're crazy and you don't know what you're doing and you're just an idiot. Like they're going to say all that stuff. But you got to look at it through a point of view of maybe they're saying that about themselves to themselves. And when you look at things and realize that that's not true, you are not those things. You are cohabitating with the creator or the divine on what you're supposed to do. And you're being a trailblazer and you're building a new path. And people around you don't really understand what that means because they've done the same thing for the last 100 years.